From the moment we first met her in the summer of 2014, two things jumped out about Jessi Combs. Her seemingly limitless talent and the drive to do anything she set her mind to.
She was just always down for whatever was in front of her and had a great time doing it. And that was always how she was. And she was a lot of fun to always do these things with too. Just all sorts of laughs and wild times with her for sure.
That lifestyle was always accompanied by a certain amount of risk. Although, as Combs told us back then, aiming high was the only way to live.
I want to be in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I don't think I'd have the patience to actually grow the longest fingernails in the world. You know, like, what was I going to do to be in the Guinness Book of World Records? Well, why not be the fastest woman on four wheels? It makes complete sense for what I do and what I love to do, and I love going fast, so when that opportunity presented itself, I had to say yes.
Combs, who had already reached celebrity status through her work on television shows like Mythbusters and Overhaulin', achieved that goal in October of 2013. On the dried lake bed that makes up Oregon's Alford Desert, Jessi piloted the jet-powered North American Eagle to an average speed of 392.954 miles per hour, smashing a record that had stood for 48 years.
What was the number? Good.
Oh, that feels so good!
Not surprisingly, that feeling of satisfaction didn't last long. Combs topped her own mark 3 years later and then zeroed in on something bigger. Forget the wheels, Jessi wanted the world, specifically the title of fastest woman on Earth, which had belonged to former Hollywood stuntwoman Kitty O'Neil since 1976. On August 27, 2019, with Kitty's blessing, Jessi made what she had already decided would be her final attempt. Longtime friends Vanessa and Brian Clock will never forget what happened next.
I heard the phone ring, I ignored it. I heard the phone ring again. We grabbed it, and all I could hear was Terry say those words that we lost her, and instantly it felt like the world just ended.
It's one of those moments in time that just stamps and you just don't understand, like, why her, you know? She had so much talent. She was inspiring so many people. There's just no way, like, you know, and I have a huge faith, right? And I'm like, God, why? Like, why her? What was the point?
The answer to that seemingly impossible question arrived several months after the crash. In June of 2020, Guinness World Records announced that it would count Combs' speed of 522.783 miles per hour and posthumously award her the record she so desperately wanted.
So it's wonderful that the number is there, but, you know, it's just a small, you know, really kind of a small victory, because you would certainly just rather have her here to continue to do so much more fun stuff with her.
In one of the interviews that Jessi did, she said it's really not about me being the fastest woman on earth. What it's about is me showing people you can be the fastest woman on earth, particularly young ladies. Well, there's your answer. It's going to inspire young women around the world like never before in motorsports. I mean, she did it. She went to the top of the mountain, she lit the torch and said, "Here, girl, you go, you can do this."
That message would end up being the foreword to the next chapter of Jessi's legacy. In the immediate aftermath of the accident, as her family and closest friends were just beginning to pick up the pieces of their broken hearts, it became clear that Jessi's impact on this world was not complete. Brian Clock got all the confirmation he needed during a conversation with Jessi's fiance, Terry Madden.
He said, "This might be a little heavy." And he slid a piece of paper over in front of me. And when Jessi was on the lake bed, she had laid the foundation for the foundation. She said, "This is what I want to do. I want to start a foundation that empowers young women to do whatever it is they want to do. If they're going to be in the trades or they want to do something like that, they should go for it." And he said, "Here's the 4 people that she wants on her board." And my name was at the top of that list. And amidst the tears and the jubilation of her thinking that much of me, I said, "Let's call these other people."
Within 2 days, that entire group came together to form the roots of what is now known as the Jessi Combs Foundation. Their mission is to educate, inspire, and empower the next generation of female trailblazers and stereotype breakers.
We are her legacy, essentially, and it's up to us to make sure that it continues to carry on because she did set an example for so many people. And if we let that die, then that's shame on us.
With no preconceived concept of what to expect, the group set out to raise enough money to fund 2 $10,000 scholarships in its first year. They did it and then some, opening the door for an additional 5 at $2,000 apiece. After sifting through a pool of around 65 applicants, the winners of the first ever Jessi Combs Foundation scholarships were announced in November of 2020. And with that, Jessi had officially paid her passion forward.
That was a really great moment for, all of us, I think personally, professionally, great. That's wonderful for the foundation, but making those calls with those women was amazing. It felt so good to know that this is stuff that Jessi wanted to do and we're making it happen.
It's not every day that you meet somebody that's so like someone else. They're not that person, and we're not looking for the next Jessi by any means, but we are looking for, just like she said, the next female trailblazer. That's what she wanted, the stereotype breakers. And this first batch of girls, and I'm sure many more to come, and all of those who applied, they're it.
I mean, there's girls in there who were like in tears. They're like, this is the greatest thing. I can now go to school. You just paid the other half of my school. I wasn't gonna go. And now I can go, right? Just what Jessi wanted. You just opened that gate and said, don't be afraid, go get it. You can do this.
It's great, it's so cool. Like Jessi would certainly be super, super pumped.
And joined now by Jay Elson, and the foundation's off to a great start, but it seems like everything else that Jessi was involved in, that it could just start taking off, right?
It seemed like everything she touched had a way of turning to gold, and I think this has really been no different to this point, although I think those involved maybe were a little surprised with just how quickly this thing got big in its first year. So that part in itself was exciting. I think the next step is to try and get corporate involvement, trying to really grow this, because Jessi was a spokeswoman for a lot of different companies. They have indicated some interest in getting involved, and all of those companies have their own large networks, which certainly could help make this thing really take off.
And if you're just anyone like you and me, you can contribute if you want.
Absolutely.
Right?
You just go to JessiCombsFoundation.com. They've got a tab right there on the website where you can make a donation. They also have some merchandise that you can purchase. Proceeds from that will then go to the Jessi Combs Foundation to help support this great cause. And it's really exciting to see where it's at now, but I can only imagine how big this thing's going to get.
Right on. Thanks a lot, Jay.